Greetings, class. Greetings. It is a beautiful evening, Sunday evening. Dan Borrero and Kris Haskins are going to be your pilot and co pilot for today. Our mission is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. We have been in business combined, as Dan typed into his calculator a few minutes ago. You know,
No, you're giving me too much credit. This is the calculator.
you need to really look at your life if you need to calculate a calculator to figure out how many long you've been in business. We are thankful to be able to bring you guys our real life practitionership of doing real estate for for 55 years combined. Greetings, class. Hey, Dan, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, Mr. Haskins?
We here, man. We here. So
Yep.
today our format is we will take your questions live. I've got questions to ask Dan Borrero, but we would love to get questions. Oh, darn, I gotta hit the live. You get the live on your IG?
I
I got
have.
to hit it. We're going to bring a number up here. We would love to answer your questions, get your input on what you're doing, how you're doing it, where you're doing it, and what we can do to help you. Let me cut this thing on Roadcaster. Boom. Make sure we're live. Dan, I want to talk to you. You got anything real quick? Or I mean, not quick, but you got anything you want to go over? Or
I
you...
want to. I want to talk about some, downtime. But I mean, I know you have some questions in reference to what's going on. We'll talk about until the audience starts coming on. I'd
Hmm.
like to talk about you and I were just talking about what we did today or anything, right? And I was like, I love Sundays. Do you love Sundays, Chris?
I
And do we
do.
love them for the same reasons? I mean,
Less calls. Banks closed. Loans ain't getting processors. I know, you know what's weird? I've never closed a deal on Saturday or Sunday. I don't know if you have. Maybe you've done some other stuff that I don't know about.
never close the day on Saturday or Sunday, but not on a holiday, on like a Monday holiday, things like that. Like tomorrow's Veterans Day,
It's
right?
even better.
Right. So, you know, I love Sundays for what for the same for many probably the opposite reasons everyone else loves Sundays. Like how many of our I don't really have many of those friends anymore. Because as time goes on, we shed those people.
Yeah.
Um, how many how many people are actually sitting there like somebody was like, yeah, I'm gonna enjoy watching a Jet game today, and he
Oh,
spent his entire day preparing what his meal was gonna be like, his drinks, and what his day he
oh,
revolved
for
his
football?
day, yeah, around watching the Jet game today.
Who did that?
Of
A guy.
fitness.
A guy, yeah.
And I was like, good for you, brother. What I
You gotta
really want
love on him. You gotta love on him, man.
to wake up, man. Like, are the Jets paying you to watch that game? Because they ain't paying you to watch that game. Why are you so excited? Like, give me a break.
Give me up. Get him break. That's why I love talking to you, Dan. We share a lot of the same views, and I'm like, you can't pay me enough money, Dan. How much would it be for me to say, Dan, sit down and watch this entire football game?
Well, I'd have to calculate how much money I could possibly make during that time, and then you'd have to double it to entice me to do
I love it. I'm like, don't call me talk about no sports, nobody's stats, nobody's quarterback. I don't even want to. You know what? We get excited when I call Dan to talk about. Like Dan was pouring some concrete the other day, and Virginia was 75 degrees. I'm like, man, it's a great day to do concrete outside. And he calls me. Well, I don't know if I call. I don't know who called who,
Well,
but
yeah, yeah.
we're talking, and he was like, man, I got this concrete going. It won't dry. What are you
It
talking about? It's 75 degrees. Well, I'm in Virginia, so I guess it was 71, 72 in New York.
was actually pretty warm that day too for New York. It was in the 60s, so
Yeah, that is one for you.
but it was in a shaded area. If it had been in an area where the sun was hitting, it would have been fine. Yeah, so it kind of messed me up a little bit.
As soon as he tells me his concrete's not drying, my mind goes, "You're pouring it in shade, aren't you?"
Yeah, exactly.
Knew it.
And I was like,
Knew
yeah, you got it, Chris. And by the way, Chris is not a masonry person. Neither am I.
it.
But we poured enough mason concrete in our job sites to know.
It's rough. And then you see that beautiful sun. And it weird day, you see that beautiful sun, the ground is shining, and then your job is right over there in the corner
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
like,
not drying.
move it over here, son. Move it over here.
Same with paint. You can have a beautiful day and then it's just inside like, yo, it's not, I can't get the second coat on. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Kenny D says, I'm finding it hard to get a HELOC on a duplex investment property. Any suggestions, Dan?
I got to tell you the truth. I've never successfully gotten a HELOC on an investment property, so I'm
Me
probably the
neither.
worst person to ask. Now, I do know a couple of people who have gotten them on investment properties. I don't know which banks they use, but I do know when I asked them how expensive it was, their closing cost was very high on it.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It's not the same parameters as when it's your personal home.
I've heard about them too. I think Langley has done one for a friend of mine. I don't know what the costs were, but I'd like to know, Dan, Kenny D, are you living? Oh, he says investment. Okay, so he's not living in it then.
Yeah.
Kenny D, I'm glad you brought this up because this is what I wanted to ask Dan about. I learned the term the other day. I'm going to be teaching tomorrow at a private money training. This term I learned, Dan, it's called conceptual incarceration. Conceptual incarceration. And I wanted to ask you about, we are jailed or we're locked in to our current lifestyles strictly based on the concepts that are swirling around in our head, Dan. And I just wanted to just to get you to unpack that a little bit. And what I see here with Kenny, concept, home equity line of credit, concept, borrowing money against an investment property. All this is it's nothing but a concept, right? So in my mind, my you know where I'm going, Dan, strictly with this, with investment property and borrowing money.
I am.
I'll let you go ahead and take it from there, man. Private money. Let's go right to
Private money. Look, and I've said this 1,000 times. I had used private money before 2019, but after meeting Kris and talking to Kris in 2019 in Dallas, Texas, he changed my entire concept to
consent.
private money. And I always felt when I was going for private money, I was going with hat in hand. But the reality is, you're doing people a favor, right? Because when you go for private money, their money is secured against the property. They are the first mortgage holders, right?
Yep.
So even if I die tomorrow, my estate will still be liable to pay that first mortgage. And they're going to be, you're doing people a favor in the sense that it not only is the property secured, rather their funds are secured against the property, but they're going to get a much higher interest rate than they're going to get, literally sitting in the bank, or in most cases, many times, even investing in the stock market.
Well, Kenny, if I were you, I take that back. What we do, right? I'm not even telling you to do it. If I've got equity in a property, I just go to a human being and I say, "Hey, I've got $200,000 worth of equity. Would you loan me 100?" I would put a security against that property. I would say, "Look, I'll call you whenever I need it. You wire me the money. I'll send it back to you when I'm not using it." So, Dan, it is the concept that keeps us locked up. I mean, it's just a concept.
And hence the reason why people are on here, because
I take that back.
To accept, press
Dan,
1.
I'm sorry.
To send a voice
I didn't blow you up like that.
I love the fact that people on here looking to get out of that basic concept and listening to Kris Haskins and Dan Borrero on Sunday.
Caller, hold 1 second, caller. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So that you could get out of that frame of thinking, right? This investing in real estate or investing in general is just not. It's not one square box. It could be oval. It could be circle. It could be rectangle.
Sphere.
It all depends on how much you're willing to think outside the box.
I love the way you said that, Dan. God, I love the way you said that. Caller, you are on the line with Dan Borrero and Kris Haskins. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
This is Patrick out of Alabama. I'm a second-time caller.
Yes, I remember Patrick.
What's up, homie? Patrick, good to hear from you, my brother. Patrick, Alabama.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Likewise. Yeah. I have a question. Seems like I got a lot of problems, but that's what part of being a real estate investor is, dealing with problems. But
Just hurdles. You got to jump.
Right.
Go ahead,
Right. My whole thing is when I first started, investing, I started putting in. It's dealing with window units and stuff. But when I first started out, I started putting in window units, and then as I grew, I started going into central air and heat because I started having problems with my windows rotting in and out after a certain period of time. And but with going to central air and heat, I've been having problems with the tenants not changing out their vents and me getting calls for the air going out, because if you don't change out the vents for a certain period of time, the lines will get clogged up and with gunk, and it'll shut down the whole system. So really, make a long story short, my whole question is to Dan, is this a certain thing that you do when you put in a window unit to keep from your window rotting out?
So
because that's really the main thing as far as main problem that I'm having in putting in window units, where I have to just gut the whole window out and replace all the insides because all of the water dripping from the unit.
So it sounds to me you have multiple problems. Let's talk about the AC when they're not changing their filters. Your lease specifically has to state about changing those air filters, and it should be stating on a monthly basis. And it should also provide the tenant where they could find, so every one of my tenants, especially in Florida, on their move-in, they get an intake, a move-in package. And on that move-in package, it clearly states where they could buy these filters, what's the price on those filters as of that date, and how often those filters have to be changed. In addition to other information I may have in there, like utility company contact information for cable, electric, whatever that is, right? My office number, my email, the number they have to call for maintenance, repairs, all that's in there. So that's the first thing you should be doing, right? Secondly, your lease obviously is not strong enough or written in a format that encourages them to change those AC filters. So my lease, if those as a result of them not changing the AC filters, and I have to go and send a duct cleaner in there, they're paying for that out of their security deposit, and it says a minimal of $395, and it could be more depending on the size of the property, right? That's number one. That's number two, rather. Number three, if it's a result of the tenant's neglect and not complying with the lease, because your lease clearly states they're supposed to be changing those AC filters, and your technician is going to give you the invoice with the reason why it failed, the system is failing. Now that's enough for you then to charge that tenant for that repair. Okay, that's the third thing. Lastly, the window units. I'm hearing multiple problems with the way you're probably not capping those windows and caulking the cap around the capping properly if the water's getting into it. That's number one, because all those windows should be properly capped. Number two, if the water's coming into the window sill on the inside, it's because the tenant doesn't have it angled properly, where the water's coming in rather than going out.
You're talking about the unit itself?
That's right. It should be on a tilt going back, going out. Every window unit should have a window bracket that tilts down, but also gives a support so it doesn't fall out, and neither does it put pressure on the window itself, because otherwise the window will bow out, especially if it's a vinyl window. I hope I answered your question, Patrick.
When you say cap, what do you explain that a little bit?
So every window has aluminum capping. It should have aluminum capping around the outside, where you have. So when you put in your window, you framed out your window first, right? Normally with 2x4s or 2x4s.
With flashing. Are you speaking of flashing around the
flashing is flashing is like roofing cement. I'm not talking about flashing. You should have an aluminum cap around the window on the exterior. And then on the edges of that,
the bottom you're talking about, Dan, that goes at the bottom
and around the sides, the top, the sides, and the bottom.
Oh wow. Is that what is I've never seen that before, Dan. Where does he get that from?
Every house is not one house. If you drive around your neighborhood, Kris, you're gonna if you look at your own house, you're gonna see aluminum capping around on the outside of your window, without a doubt. Unless you're going into brick.
I got brick.
Okay, then it might be put into the brick if it's new construction. If it's
You
old
talking about
construction,
the wrapping that they put over the wood
yes,
before they put the wood down?
correct. That's the
So that's
aluminum capping on the outside.
so that's you saying that should exist.
That should exist, and then around the capping, where the ends of the
Be
capping
taped.
edges meet the actual outside of the property, you should have silicone caulk around that.
But he didn't do the construction for the windows, Dan. They were in
He
before he
wrote
got
that.
the
He
property.
just said he's had to replace the windows. Did you not say that, Patrick?
Mm.
Yeah. But a lot of my properties that I bought were built in the 40s, 50s.
So
So they didn't.
that's
In
not
the
an
beginning,
excuse.
they didn't have the aluminum.
So yeah, they put up capping around all those windows. Capping's been existing for like 80 years, 90 years. Listen, it's your job. One of the things I do every winter, rather every fall, is not even the fall. I'm sorry. In the summertime, we do this. We go around every single one of my properties. We check the windows and the doors to every single one of my properties, making sure the caulking is right, that the caulking's not cracking, that the caulking hasn't, because caulk just it expands and extract it extracts and it also shrinks in between the cold and the winter, so it causes it to crack. So if I see any cracks in the caulking, we literally cut it out and then we go around and we recaulk around every window and every door. That's one of the things on my list that we do every summer. So there's four seasonal maintenance repair seasons, right? We preparing in the summer, right, for the fall, and then in the fall we're preparing for the winter. In the spring we're preparing for the
Okay.
summer, right? So it sounds to me like you have, without looking at it, I can't tell you the exact problem, but I
You
just
got
gave you
multiple
I
problems.
just gave you multiple directions to look for the problem.
Why isn't that water, Patrick? If the air conditioner is like this, why isn't that water coming out the back,
Right.
going out down
99% of the time when I see what my
that
window seals wet, it's
going down?
because the air conditioning units are not tilted in the right direction.
Are they tilted, Patrick?
Yes. Yeah. Most. Yeah. It's
They
just
are.
something. I don't know if it's just rain. It rains a lot down south. I don't know if that has something to do with it also. But
Listen, if you have window units and
yeah, I just.
you got water problems around your windows, it's your job to make sure. So look, I in the spring, in the summertime, beginning of summer, as soon as the first hot day hits in the summertime, I make sure within that day into 2 days, 2 or 3 days, I visit every single one of my properties and I'm looking up at my windows. I'm looking. I'm looking.
Does your AC unit stay
I'm looking for
in?
AC units that are not tilted properly, whether they're tilted too much to the outside or too much to the inside.
Hmm,
I'm looking to make sure they have the safety brackets on so those things don't fall on someone's head or fall out the window and damage my windows even more.
yeah.
Right? This is what I'm looking for. Right? This is part of being a landlord, right? We
Okay.
have to anticipate that the tenants, maybe it's not even maliciously or out of laziness, they just don't know. They just don't know.
Patrick, what are you thinking,
Okay.
brother?
Yeah. I need to. I don't look at. That was something I don't do. I don't look at the caulking and inspect the area. I basically. Um, yeah, I don't do that. I need to do that.
That
That's
Patrick,
caulking
I would
thing.
something
suggest
I need to do.
you develop a because you said you had multiple properties, if I recollect correctly, correct, in Alabama.
I have. Yes,
So
sir. Yes,
I
sir.
would suggest that you developed a seasonal service itinerary for yourself, right? So every right before the spring, you should be going on every roof, checking all the gutters, making sure they're clear, right? While you're up there
Okay.
checking the gutters, you should be checking to see if the flashing around the chimney looks good or it's starting to crack. It gives you the chance to see any other possible problems that may occur in the future, right? So you want to get ahead of the problem, not be reactive. You want to be proactive, right? So when you're doing that, you should also be checking the caulking around your windows, right? You should be checking to see if there's any cracks around the cement or the foundation or going around the property. You should be cutting back all your bushes away from the house because especially in the spring, you want to make sure that any branches, especially from your neighbors or maybe a tree that you may have coming over the roof, you don't want that because the roof needs natural sun. Otherwise, the roof is going to start to create mold and mildew, and then it's a real bitch to keep it clean, right? So, and then it lessens the life of the roof, right? So these are all the things you could start doing, like in the fall, I'm sending my boiler guys to every single one of my properties, and I'm making sure that they're cleaning them and that they're servicing those boilers because I don't want to get a phone call on the first cold day of the winter. Hey, my boiler's not working. Right. So what I suggest you do in every area in the country has a should be, is different because it's like my winters are much colder than your winters, right? So I have to worry about the damage that ice creates. You don't have to worry about that, right? But we should all, as landlords, have a seasonal maintenance, a proactive seasonal maintenance list of what we need to look for to avoid any problems.
So with this thing, you think he got a caulking issue? He got several things he needs to check. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it kind of without looking at it, I can't tell them. But those are what I just gave you with a basic, what you should be looking at first. All right, Patrick.
Okay. Thank you, Kris and Dan. Thank
No,
you.
Dan.
thank you for calling in.
All right, Patrick. Good talking to you. That's a good one. Dan,
All right.
I don't have those issues because we don't do window units here.
Right.
You the man on that. I don't. Man, I can't imagine have to deal with freaking 50 window units. I mean, that's gotta be. And like you said, if you don't put it in right, it'll bow that. We have all vinyl windows here. We don't do any wooden or metal windows here.
Yeah, but in your case, you have central air. Am I right? Most of the time.
Yeah, we won't
Yeah.
have none of that stuff.
So your major concern is that they change the AC filter once a month.
Well, I don't care. 90 days, I'm good with it. I mean, we give them the. I give them
I,
the.
I have in my lease every 30 days. Listen, I do it in my own house every 30 days. That's
Really?
air that I'm breathing in. It's not only good for the system, AC system, but it's healthier for the occupants of the property.
That's true too. That is true. So we were talking about before we left the concepts, Dan, and borrowing money. Oh, we got a couple of questions here. Never thought about Derek. What's up? One of our members. Thank you so much. I thought about adding the least part of the maintenance procedure. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, Dan. That's what Dan does. Good evening, KS. How to avoid last minute denial from the underwriters? That was me. Can you get approved before you even start looking? I saw my video. It was scary. So, Dan, I did a video, Dan. I don't know if I told you. I had a deal fall apart the day of closing.
I had
These,
it fall apart while I was actually looking for parking to go into the closing.
oh yeah, same thing. I'm on the way. This guy, these people got a credit card and it messed up their DTI. What happened to yours?
Uh, Person actually lost his job.
You know what?
Bank actually called for verification of employment the day before the closing, even though they already had verification.
I would too, Dad. I wouldn't loan money to somebody who ain't got no job.
Hmm.
But I think people are saying you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. My thing is, yes, you can try to set up all these things in real estate, right? If you're doing closings back to back, you got 6, 7 houses going. Some of them are going to fall apart, dude. You just have to come to the realization that
I just had a deal fall apart this week, man.
it's just part of the business. And if you try to set all these things up, it's going to be a
And
miserable
you know what?
existence.
This deal fell apart not because of the bank, not because of the underwriter.
What happened with that one?
He got cold feet,
He's a buyer.
the buyer.
What do you do? Go spank him or whack him in the head? I mean, you can't change somebody
I was
getting
like,
cold
no
feet.
problem, man. This is, But what about my escrow? As long as you cover the title company, whatever their cost is, I couldn't care less.
Just
Here's
give
your
it.
escrow
Yeah.
back. You know,
I'm like,
I
just go
think it
ahead.
cost them maybe like $600-700 because they had done some title searches, but it didn't. It wasn't because it went to me. It went to the title company for the work they did.
Yeah, they can do research.
And his escrow was like 10,000.
Damn.
But we don't make money holding escrow, people. Move
I
on.
don't even hold it down. I
I
just give it back. Unless they're a prick and they drag me out for a month. They get extension after extension after
then
extension.
I'm gonna be that. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
don't do that. Derek, you can also do a walkthrough and physically train the tenant by showing them how the windows are aluminum. That's a good point. You could try that too with the
Absolutely.
tenant. Good point. Uh yeah, that was scary. You saw that video, Casey. Yeah, my cousin's on here. Hey April, what's going on? Thank you. Just a minute. Yeah.
So
And
come on, guys, give us a call in, give us your questions
oh,
because
we
we're here.
check on IG. Look on IG, Dan. See if we got questions there. John Lewis, just get the windows capped. They ran us 100. That's the same thing you were saying. I don't know what this capped is. I never seen. I don't know what
It's
that
some
is.
metal capping.
You
Actually,
talking about the tape that goes around, or they
not
put
tape.
we?
It's a metal capping that goes on the outside of the window. Every window has it. You probably don't look it up. Window aluminum capping.
Let me look this. You don't know what you're talking about, man. You don't know what you. Oh, this is metal wrapping. We call it wrapping.
Okay.
So they bend it to go around the thing,
Yeah.
but it's not on top of the window. It's under the window, right?
It's around the entire window.
Is it under? It's not. You can't see it.
No, it's on the outside of the window.
Let me show everybody this here.
Yeah, my IG's not showing any questions, man.
So this, what are we doing here with this? This is the wrap here. You bending this,
You bend that to the form of the window. Yes.
but this is below the window and under the window.
Below, above, and on the sides, all four sides of it.
But you don't use this. You can't use this with new construction windows.
Yes, you do.
It's
Every,
the new
every,
construction
every
window has the J channel built in.
well, depends. Depends. It depends on the style of the house.
What do you mean? If it's a new construction window, the J channel is built into the window.
No.
So new construction windows, I've never seen a new construction window that
Yeah,
does not have
I don't do J channels. We do capping. I like the capping, gives it a
okay.
nice look.
So let me make
J
sure I know.
channels are usually around like sliding doors, things like that.
Okay, y'all, let's look at this here.
Okay, there you go, right here. That picture right there is perfect.
All right, here we go, y'all.
That's the capping.
Okay, you call that capping. We call that wrapping. All right, Dan, go ahead and explain what we're looking at here.
So the window's installed. Now he's putting aluminum capping on the exterior of the window. Now, usually the aluminum capping, the way I've always done it is I put the bottom part first.
Bottom part, what, down here?
Yeah, before we install the window. But again,
So you
that's the way
putting it all the way up here.
if you ask 6 different contractors, they're going to tell you, why their way is better than
Yeah,
you.
we don't do it. We put the window in, and then we put the cap up to the window.
Bring up a normal window if you don't mind. Just bring
a
up
normal window.
Yeah, just bring up that window right there, the second picture.
This one?
Actually, yeah, that one right
It's
there.
a new construction window. See, it has it comes
That's
with
the capping. That is the capping.
But this is okay. So are you telling me this is
That's the
all
capping.
right? This is what I see on a new construction window. It's already comes with the window.
That doesn't come with the window. That is done after the window's installed. Go. You know
All right.
what? Go to any other window. Go to that window with the brown. You know what? Go to the window.
This one?
Yeah.
No, this is not a new construction window. This has all this, right?
Capping, right? Now that's the aluminum capping, and now that aluminum capping has an edge, both on
Right here.
the inside of the window and on the
Right there.
next
Right
to
in
the
there.
brick. That's supposed to be capped. That's supposed to be caulked
So let me go ahead, Dan.
around all four sides.
This looks
Now,
like
hold on a second. Let's go to the window with the guy with the pic that has a ladder on it. No, it has a ladder to your right. No, further down.
Oh,
no, you go. It was an old window. I wanted to use that. Go back.
My bad.
No, you're not. Okay, scroll up, scroll up. We lost that picture.
Let me do this. Sorry about that.
Uh, yeah, I don't see it now. But look, at the end of the day, there's certain things we could do to prevent these type of issues as
Yeah.
landlords. Right? It's our duty and
This
our
is
responsibility.
probably what he's having,
Exactly.
Dan. Right.
That's
This is
exactly
what
what
he's
I'm talking
having right here.
about. So he doesn't have capping around that. See, this one doesn't have any capping around that window. It's
Yep.
just
It's
wood,
just wood.
right? With
I didn't
no
even know you could do that. Oh, you know what? Some people don't do that. They just put
exactly,
the wood there. Like
exactly,
if you're watching, Dan calls it capping.
right,
We call it wrapping. Okay, so we call it metal wrapping, but it's just different locations.
right.
You're gonna cap it. Yeah, you're gonna get this every time. This is unavoidable. I
Unless you cap it and caulk it.
Yeah, wrap it and caulk it, cap it and caulk it. You're absolutely right. Cap it and forget it. I didn't know that was called. We call a guy. So you call a gal. You say, "I need to have my windows capped."
Yeah. Well, the windows are already capped. It's my duty. That's capping, right?
There we go,
So
right
it's
there.
my job to now go around once a year and look at the caulking around those windows and those doors. And the other reason is, if the caulking looks like it's cracking or whatever, besides the leak issues, the other concern is drafts, right? And energy efficiency. So you want to make sure you're capping your windows. In my case, my tenants pay for their own heat. So I want to make sure that their heating bills as low as I could possibly make it, because if it's too high, they're going to want to leave. And turnover, as landlords, we make more money the lower our turnover rate is,
No doubt. No
right?
doubt. That's a good point there, Dan. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Just that last minute check after your pre-approval before closing. It's what it's gonna be, man. I
Yeah,
think
it's part of
lenders,
the business.
people come they cracking down.
And by the way, as the economy
Thanks,
gets
yeah, bro.
worse,
It's gonna get worse.
underwriters get worse.
That's right. Comes with the roll. Thanks, Eric. I was just trying to figure out that in my daggone self. Mine's exterior of the wood frame. Okay. Sherry, Kris, and Dan, thank you for all the great show. Okay, yeah, cool. You're welcome. We are here to help. Y'all get your questions in, man. Me and Dan, we talk to each other all the time. And we ain't where
So
what
let's
you,
talk. So Chris and I were talking earlier today, and I was telling Chris that I love Sundays because I get to stay in bed until 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock normally. Today I was up at 6, but
me too.
um, normally I'll stay in bed until 7. To me, that's late. 7, 8 o'clock. But while I'm in bed, I'm actually doing my social media stuff. I remember one morning my wife walked in. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, she says, we gotta go to church. She says, you got what a life you got. You still in bed at 8 o'clock. And I'm like, it took me 30 years to figure out how to make money laying in bed.
I think you woke up like that, brother.
Yeah. But look, and the point is, so Sundays, Chris and I were like, where everyone is like thinking about, well, what park, like, listen, we do things with our families. But my kids are older now; they're all adults. They do come home for Sunday dinner, but
That's
I'm not
nice.
worried about soccer games and baseball games anymore and things like that. So Sundays for me is a day where I could catch up. Like, I
Yeah.
cleaned out my garage today.
Oh wow.
I
Still
worked for
working.
6 hours at my desk.
Still working.
And I don't know about you, Chris, but how much more work do you get done on a Sunday in comparison? Like if I sit down for 6 hours at my desk on a Sunday, that's equivalent to like probably 12 hours during the week.
See, the great thing about it is, Dan, I know I'm not gonna have no interruptions. I don't got to worry about putting on fires and somebody calling me about this job and then the trust. That's not gonna happen.
Right? Like if you're doing a letter, you're not interrupted. Like sometimes just to finish like a 3 paragraph letter
Could take hours.
will take me hours because I'm getting a phone
Phone
call.
calls.
And then when I get back to the letter, I said, okay, what was I thinking of when I was at this point,
That's
right?
rough, man.
Right. Versus it only took me 15 minutes to do the letter
No
because I
interruption.
wasn't interrupted. So Sundays, when everyone looks at Sundays like, oh, it's a day to relax, I'm like, man, I could get so much work done. That is relaxing to me.
Me too. That's a question here. Let me show y'all. We do have on tomorrow, I gotta do a shameless plug, y'all. So tomorrow we will be doing my private money training. Dan, I'm gonna do a training tomorrow showing everybody how we find private money because I'm sick of my people thinking all they can do is go to the bank. So I'm gonna show you raising money. You don't gotta worry about no credit. This is not hard money. No bank applications, no tax returns, no proof of income, no profit and loss. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. So y'all make sure you join me. We got some IG questions coming in, Dan.
Oh, what are they?
Somebody wants to know about a deal. We take this call, then we'll go to IG after that. Good evening, caller. You are on the line with Kris Haskins and Dan Borrero. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Jose, calling from Rhode Island.
Jose from where?
Rhode Island.
Oh, Rhode Island. Jose.
How are you, Jose?
J-O-S. Rhode Island. Jose, what's your question, my brother?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good to see you. Thanks for
My
calling.
question was first time home buyer. First time trying to buy a property, a multi-family.
Love it. Congratulations.
I'm glad you're in the ballpark, brother. Good, good. Don't diminish that, man. You taking action.
My question is, right, because you guys have been doing this for a while. My question is, I got the funds for the deposit. I got emergency money on the.
What deposit?
I got emergency money on the side. For the down payment for the property.
Payment. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said deposit.
And I got emergency money. I got, I'm going to be situated to go and start looking. So my question is, because I go on IG and all these places and I see all this HA this, 203K that, and I'm just trying to ask you, what do you think is the best way to go about it?
You want to answer that one first, Kris?
We can tag team a little bit. This is what I love. Once again, we talked about conceptual incarceration, Jose. And conceptual. I need to get in your mind the concepts. There is no one way, okay, my brother? There's no one way. I just need us to make sure we're open to all the different concepts, all right? So you got traditional money, then you got private money. So you got to make a decision which one works best for you. For me, I don't do no traditional money. So for you, if you can go out there and get some long-term money at a low interest rate, I would do that. Dan?
I don't want one of the things
because it ain't like it's one size fits all. Dan does shit that I would never do. I don't do what Dan do.
FHA loans, right? 203K loans. I don't have anything against them. I just want you to keep in mind, Jose, I don't know any successful real estate investor that was able to scale with those type of loans.
Long term.
Yeah. Furthermore, I don't know any FHA or 203K loans that doesn't come with hefty closing costs. In addition, if you're in a position to put the 20% down, I would, if you want to go with an FHA loan because they're going to give you a lower interest rate and you intend on keeping that property, I would say go for it. And the reason I would say still put down 20% is because not only your closing costs going to be less, but you ain't going to have to pay that PMI insurance. Now, that PMI insurance could cut into depending on the loan amount, I've seen it as low as $140. I've seen it as high as $300 a month. Now, that's not much.
Cut into the cash flow.
Imagine that's $3,600 a year that it could be better use in your pocket than it would be in the bank's pocket, right? So I'm not telling you not to do it. I am telling you that if you do it once, maybe twice, it's going to be difficult to scale with those type of loans.
What type of loan are you using, Jose, by the way? Have you already been pre-approved somewhere?
Nah, really, I'm conventional. The only reason I brought up the FHA thing was because it's like when you go on IG and all these places, you see all these different.
Listen, you know what, man? You know what, Jose? One of the reasons I'm on social media is
a bad choice moving forward. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be as strategic as I can with the first one to get to the second one.
Jose, I host a free mentorship class every Wednesday night. You should sign up for that.
Well, oh yeah, I'm already on.
class. I listen every Wednesday. I'm there taking notes every Wednesday.
Well,
So
Dan,
then you know what my position is with those loans. Then.
well, still, he got to get in the game. I'm not mad at you getting started with that. Are you going to scale that to a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio? Probably not. But getting in the game, Jose, from my perspective, I'm listening to you, is our goal, right?
Yes.
Get in the game. You know what's weird? My first deal was horrible. It was garbage. I put interest rate was too high. And you know what? Usually the guys that have been around forever, we can all tell you that our first deals were trash. I promise Dan Borrero's first deal was garbage.
My first deal was great.
Oh, it was great. Okay.
But
Okay.
I just got lucky, man. I didn't know anything.
How about your second deal, Dan?
It almost bankrupted me.
Okay, well, either the first or second, Jose. I knew it was close.
That second deal, it was so
You
bad.
thought you was the shit. You know what?
I had to take my wife's 401k out. Her entire 401k out to save.
You better be glad you didn't get killed, kid.
I had to sell both my cars. I was taking the Iron Horse, MTA mass transit, for like 3 years.
So Jose, my point is, get in, dog. Your first deal, man. Dan got lucky, but his second deal was trash.
Oh my God!
If you
I thought I was the man. I thought it was gonna be that easy all the time.
That's the problem. I would prefer, Jose, your first deal be a little challenging because it's going to sharpen you up, almost like the knife. I'm cutting you up, I'm making you like this new being that knows how to acquire real estate, as opposed to be like Dan, then you screw up the second one, you know.
Oh, I screwed up bad.
Jose, your first one it may not be the best, but you're in. You're in.
Definitely, man. I just want to thank you guys for the information that you guys put out all the time, man.
Man, thanks
you,
Jose.
for coming in, Jose. Thank you, man. That is cool to hear, Jose. Anything else, Jose? You good?
No, I'm just gonna keep listening, man. I'll keep my questions for the next time.
All right, peace.
Take care.
I'm glad he's buying a property, man. People doing it out here, Dan. People
let's take some IG questions. It was
you got some on your side?
Yeah, there's one that says, Dan, where in New York City would you invest? ?
Nowhere. I know that.
Ridgewood or Bushwick ?
Hold on, I already know the answer to that. Look at this. Patrick says his windows have wood all around. How did we know?
That's a problem. No capping, no caulking. No capping, no caulking.
Say that. Go ahead. What was the question there? I didn't hear it.
So the question is, I'll read it out loud again. It says,
Dan,
comma, where in New York City would you invest ? Ridgewood or Bushwick ? Thinking of mixed use. Listen, I have the bulk of my wealth is with properties in New York City. I've said this dozens of times in my free mentorship class. I've said it dozens of times on these lives that I do with Kris Haskins. You got to be insane to buy something in the city of New York right now. Insane. The laws in the city of New York are so challenging. I don't know why anybody would buy here. The reality is that in Brooklyn, New York, right now, it's taking between 26 months to 29 months to evict a tenant that's not paying.
Good God.
Imagine having a tenant living in your property for 29 months without paying. That's a lot of sleepless nights. Even if you could afford it. Even though, like, let me tell you something. I'm in this business. I have a problem with a tenant, and I'm evicting a tenant. I look at it like, it's just business. The business I chose to be in. But when it gets to 29 months, yeah, man, the old street thug Dan Borrero his ideas start coming back. I gotta like fight with those ideas. Like it's a challenge fighting those ideas to push them back. You know, so
don't do it. Basically,
don't do it.
Deborah is dealing with a leak behind the shower, behind the wall. Dan, what do you got for her?
I need more information, but you know, it could be the shower body, it could be that you're caulking around your tile.
Could be the shower valve, shower head.
We would need more.
James.
Could be so much stuff. James, you on the line with Kris and Dan. Where you calling from, James?
St. Louis.
St. Louis and
James and Dana.
James and Dana here.
James and Dana. Don't forget
James and
Dana.
Dana. Dana had to make sure we knew that she was on the line, right, Dana?
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
How can we help you guys?
That's right. That's right.
What you got? How can we help
Yeah,
you?
we were calling because my wife, she was trying to go on so we can take advantage of Dan's mentorship, but she was having some difficulty trying to get on there. We want to know what we were doing wrong.
Because I wonder if it took time to, well, I did it. It was like right at the time. This past Wednesday.
Yeah, if you did it right at the time, we send out our last email with the link at 7 o'clock, an hour before. So if you did it after 7 o'clock,
okay, so I missed it.
You would not have gotten an email with the link. But if you signed up, you will get an email on Tuesday night, and you're also going to get an email on Wednesday night right before with the link reminding you. This week, we're going to have one of the co-founders from Deal Machine coming on, teaching people how to find deals, right? How to find tired landlords, how to find estate sales. You know, if you're driving by a property, how do you find out who the owner is, who's taking care of the taxes, how to contact that person, the phone number, everything. So you know, we have really good guests on. Kris Haskins has come on teaching about private funds and subject to. Plus, you know, my brother and I are the ones most of the time that are hosting it by ourselves, and we've done over 115 classes.
How do they join that, Dan? Where do they go? It's right there. Dan.
Just go to DanielBorrerojr.com. But she already signed up, so she'll be fine.
I'm talking about other people that are listening, so they know.
Yeah. DanielBorrerojr.com. Every Wednesday night at 8.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So that it's another time. Thank you guys. You guys are amazing.
Thank you, James.
We didn't hear. Sorry, I didn't hear that. I was talking. I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
Dan? Thank you. We said thank you.
Dan said,
and thank you guys. You all are amazing. We love you guys.
Thank you.
Getting so much wonderful information from you guys.
When you guys coming to St. Louis?
I have been thinking my mentor is there, so I will be there soon, brother. My mentor is up there, so I'm looking to come up there.
Oh, your mentor is there.
Okay.
We've been looking for a mentor for a long time.
So bad. Yeah. We have to take you. We have to buy your friendship.
Yeah.
We're
gonna write a book about our real estate adventures. So
okay, good. I love you. Can't wait to hear that. Thanks for calling, James and Dana.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Peace.
You guys have a great evening.
You too.
Likewise.
That sounds like a good couple. Dan, how come our wives never say this shit? I'm like, why can't I get my wife to think that I'm great? I'm talking tonight like, anyway, I'm not going to start.
Yeah, I know the feeling, man. I know the feeling.
I missed a call. Somebody called in. We can't take but one call at a time. 757-204-1332. Get your calls in.
I think I've told you about my sock story, right? I
Yeah,
came
pick up your socks.
I was took an early flight home, and
pick your socks up.
So you know, I was in the family room. I was just chilling, and as my wife's going up the stairs, she's like, "Remember, pick your socks up. Like, I don't care. All these people will want to listen to you and talk."
Yeah. You're the same piece of mess. Greetings. You are on the line with Kris Haskins and Dan Borrero. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Cynthia. I'm calling from Washington.
Love it. Washington, D.C. or Washington State?
Washington State.
Oh.
Spokane, Washington.
We're in the other side of the country.
Wow. Cynthia, you're making me feel
Yeah, I'm glad I could get on here.
I feel good. We touching the people from coast to coast.
Yes, we are. So how can we help you, Cynthia?
Yeah, I was wondering. So right now I do have 3 conventional loans. I have a 3, 4, and a 5 interest rate right now.
That's okay. We still love you.
And
we still love you. That's okay. You got loans. I'm not mad at you.
And so I was wanting to know, I was going to go FHA, and I heard you guys talking about FHA. If I already have 3 conventional loans and I wanted to do FHA, plus I can do a VA as well. I was thinking about doing a departing residence on one of them, but I know if I go FHA, they're going to want at least, I think it's 20 to 35% of equity in that home. I'm trying to, because I want to be able to get, I want to be able to buy a home a year, one home a year. And so I'm trying to strategize from these conventional loans. In January, I'll be able to buy another home. And so I'm just kind of wondering which way would be the best way if I want to get another home in 2026 on a departing resident type of.
Cynthia, let me ask you a
loan.
question. I'm going to ask you a few questions, all right, Cynthia, so that Kris and I have a better understanding. When you say departing loan, what are you referring to? What does that mean?
Well, it's a departing resident. So if you do if you go VA, then of course you have to stay in that home for 12 months.
Okay.
So
you're leaving that residence to go to another. You're leaving that residence to go to another.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And now, what is it that you do for work? What's your main source of employment or funds?
I am a landlord. I'm a landlord. I do rent out the 3. I do have 3 rentals right now. I'm also a contract nurse, so I do travel nursing.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
that's what I do.
Thanks for that.
Okay, so but what's your main source of income, landlording or the nursing?
Well, I don't know. I make more as a landlord, but a nurse.
No, if I looked at your tax returns, did you have more income coming in as a nurse or as a landlord?
I have more money coming in on my rentals.
Okay.
So what I did was I took one of my rentals, and what I did was turn one of my rentals into an adult family home. And so I was able to actually get that one rented out for about $4,500 a month.
Wow.
And so that was kind of what I've been doing, is buying homes, setting them up for adult family homes. And then you're able to upscale the rent for those who want to run adult family homes in the home itself.
So,
so that's been my approach.
The reason I'm asking is, I was in your same situation around year 2000, 2001. Actually, it was actually 1998. And I was extremely frustrated because I wasn't scaling as fast as I wanted to. And I was only getting like one property about every 18 months or 24 months. And it took me about 2 years to figure out that I needed to do more. I did a fix and flip around 1999, and I made, like, at the time it was like almost $100,000. To me, $100,000 back then was like telling me I just made $1 million, right? And that 100,000 was able to give me a down payment, not only a down payment, but the beginning of the money that I needed to start renovating. So my next term hold. So I realized that I needed to do something else to generate more cash to get bigger down payments, and the bigger down payments, the more negotiability I had in lowering my acquisition costs. So I started doing flips. Now, I'm not telling you that's what you need to do. I'm just using that as an example that sometimes we got to get out of our comfort zone. Your comfort zone right now is landlording. And that was my comfort zone. And I had to get myself out of my comfort zone, think outside the box. And then what I was doing was taking all my fix and flip money. And then I would take that fix and flip money. I was also selling a lot of land. I was flipping a lot of land in Florida. I would take all that money. I would take every quarter, I would ask my accountant, all right, how much of these profits do I have to pay for estimated taxes in 3 months? And he would tell me, and I would put that money into a brokerage account. Right. So if he said, let's say I made 100,000, he said you got to put 33,000 aside for taxes for Uncle Sam. I would put 33,000 into the brokerage account. So when the tax bill came in, I'd say, here's the money, right? And I took that 67,000 and used that as my next down payment. But since I was able to fix and flip a property within 6 months, so between 4 and 6 months, I was able to start generating enough money. So instead of getting a one long-term property every 18 to 24 months, I was doing it within 9 to 12 months. I cut it in half. So I started getting 2 properties for long-term hold in the same period of time, because I was taking the money that I was making still in the real estate business, but a different side of the business to put into the long-term hold. So I don't know the reasons, maybe you may want to take more contract nurse work, right? Because I know you guys make a substantial lot more money than a nurse that's just in one hospital, for instance, right? So you may want to go deep into that side. I don't know. I can't. I would have to ask you a lot more.
It just sounds like, Dan, you're going into the category of increase your ability to earn, as Brian Tracy says. Do you have that ability to do that, Cynthia? Maybe one flip a year. You don't need a lot, as long as you just earmark that money.
Do more than, so basically instead of just getting them and holding them and doing a landlord type thing, just doing like a fix and flip every year instead.
Correct.
Well, I don't know if we want to change your. I don't know if we want to change your focus, because it sounds like you enjoy the landlording and you could put those in your arsenal. But I think Dan is more or less saying, like, do the fix and flip to lock your gun in and say, look, I've got this much more of a down payment, so I can move. In real estate, I don't know why, but sometimes you got to really, really go in the hole. Like when I say go in the hole, you got to start digging and saving and collecting capital, and then you can make a real power move.
I actually really liked your videos on the renting to own, the lease to own.
Lease
I was
options,
looking into more lease options as well.
You ain't getting no $4,500
I want to go at a different angle. Tom?
You ain't getting no $4,500 a month on like you get on those adult houses.
Listen, I tell you, those adult living houses. I mean, that's the beast move right there. That's
that's right with that.
And I was still thinking about sticking to that, because that is so lucrative. I mean,
you can't lose.
It's crazy how much you can do.
You got central heating in there, go out. You got to pay for it 2 months. Roof, 3 months, pay for. I mean, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean that's a great move. But now, how do you scale that?
That's where I think, Dan, you were right. Do the flip. That way you got the down payment to go to the next.
Yeah, but she doesn't have to do flips either, Cynthia, because you're nursing contracting.
Yeah, you live in.
I know a lot. My niece does that. She only works 6 months a year, and she goes traveling for another 6 months.
They chilling, yo.
Right.
And she ain't taking travels neither. They're nice trips.
They chilling.
Yeah, it makes it scales a good. And then when your houses are like, adult family home rentals, that's a pretty, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I didn't have that option. Maybe you have multiple options.
And so I was thinking, if I had 3 conventionals, would it be feasible to do an FHA? Do you think? Because I just heard you talking about, like, I wouldn't do an FHA if not. I'm just wanting to know what you guys are.
I would go with the VAs. VA loans, man, they protect the living.
You can't beat them. They very rarely foreclose. You got to do something horrible to get a foreclose. You got to be way behind. When a buyer comes to me and tells me they got a VA loan, I dread it, because like their appraisers are worse than the inspections. Like they really look out for you guys. They do. They look out for the buyer. They don't care about the seller.
God, they beat the hell out.
I heard the VAs were some of the best. If you can get a VA loan, that's the best loan to get right now.
No doubt.
That's what I've heard.
I would do that. I wish I could. I can't.
That's what I've heard.
I can't get them.
So that's what I've heard. So.
But that's not scalable too. It only goes up to what, 700,000 or something. What is the total on that?
Oh yeah, 700,000. Yeah.
So after that, so If I were you, Cynthia, I would use that. Try to look. I think private money. You're a nurse. No doubt, people love you. They will. I promise you, they will give you money if you ask people to finance you. Dan, she's
Yeah.
a nurse.
You know,
You saving lives.
become a nurse without having discipline, right? So you had to go to school, and you obviously served our country and veterans. You know, in my
You
opinion,
got two things.
most people that I know that are
Yeah.
veterans have a lot of discipline,
She got a
right?
veteran nurse, and she's a female. People would they would be begging to give you money.
And you have a road behind you. You have a
She
successful
already
road behind
doing it. Now you gotta come to my class tomorrow. And come to the class so you can understand how to talk that talk to get people to loan you money.
Right, and that's my problem. It's like, where do I start? Who do I get to loan me that type of money? Who
you.
can I? You know
You
what I mean?
need to go to Kris Haskins' class tomorrow. Chris,
Yeah,
put,
we'll
up
talk
that,
about that
put,
tomorrow.
up, put that up again so everyone can see
Oh
it.
yeah, my bad. We gotta man, you know what? When I hear people
Okay.
like Cynthia, Dan, I'm just like both of us are like, dude, you have a
We get these calls
phenomenal.
every week, so you know there's obviously that's a big lack of information out there.
You
Um,
know what? I'm gonna go back to my term that I talked about earlier. Conceptual incarceration. We are incarcerated by the concepts that are swirling around in our head. I'm going to start off tomorrow about this, So, and Cynthia, I'm not saying that you're like in a bad jail. Some people are incarcerated in the Hamptons. Some people
Mhm.
are incarcerated in Bahamas. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we live within these four walls of what we think is available. And I didn't know what private money
Mhm.
was. So now I just raised $250,000 last week, right, to buy this house. So I just want y'all to make sure that there's other ways to do this thing than just going to the banks and stuff. But you have both.
I'm just going to banks,
You got
right?
the credibility. You could pair them together, man. Your life, Dan. Dude,
yeah, I mean, you're easy.
yo,
You're
you
you're
driving seat. What you say, Dan?
she's easy for a lender.
You're bankable,
Yes.
and you got money, and you got
Really?
assets.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
got to believe it though.
People just don't want to say no to vets either, right?
Nah, they don't. They don't want to look all bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was thinking about going multifamily too.
That's Dan right there.
So I mean,
Yeah.
That's a different animal right there.
You can still do that with the VA though, right?
oh yeah, they give you for VA for if you go multifamily, you can get up to $1 million,
Mm,
$1 million and something,
Shit, I would go.
1,500,000, something like that. Yeah.
Only problem I see with all the money that you can borrow is it's got the cash flow. Like a lot of people do. Dan and I don't even believe in 100%. I'm like, I'm not even 100% finance guy. I don't even live in that world anymore
Yeah.
because I want all my properties to cash flow.
Yeah.
And
I personally believe when they lend you like 95%, the bank set.
Mhm.
that's still close.
Yeah, but
That's
to
still
me,
close, Dan.
you're being set up to fail.
It's too hard to cash flow that shit, especially if you're new.
Yeah, they're not. Everyone's
Yeah, I have to cash flow.
like on social media. Everyone's putting out like you only need 3% down, and but
Yeah.
if you can't afford to save 20%,
Shouldn't
you
be
can't
buying.
afford that house
Don't buy.
because if you don't have the relationship with money to understand the value of savings before you get into the house, whether it's a personal house or investment property, you're gonna fail miserably because you never had the skill set
Definitely.
to save, right? So if you don't
Mhm.
have the skill set to save, you shouldn't be buying
You'll be
any
in trouble.
You can't.
That's
Even if
true.
the bank says that you
Definitely.
could afford it, you can't afford it in your mind. Your mind can't afford it because you don't have the skill sets developed yet.
Are you saving with? I mean,
Right.
you are cash flowing ridiculous. Are you able to save some of that,
I'm
Cynthia?
cash flowing. Oh yeah, I'm cash flowing enough to where I'm able to save a good amount. So
Good
I
for
do
you.
have a
I'm
good
happy
amount
about that.
saved to where
Okay.
I could do a 20%. I could do a conventional if I wanted to. I could.
Yeah. See, you obviously
You
don't have
know.
that problem, but when I see
Yeah.
some of these people telling, "Oh, you can buy a house, you only need 18,000."
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, you're setting up people to fail.
Yeah.
You're setting up people to fail.
Yeah.
That's not her though. So
No, this is
Cynthia,
not you, Cynthia. By no means is this you. You're on the opposite side of that.
thank God.
Hmm.
So you got it. You got it
Oh
covered.
yeah.
All right. Did we answer your question? I don't know, man. Because I'm not a FHA borrower guy. Dan knows more about this than me.
I personally never done an FHA. No.
I think I've done one. My first house was a FHA, but
Oh
I
no, it was wonderful talking to you
I
guys.
remember
I
I tried.
just wanted to see your perspective.
okay.
I've tried for FHA loan twice and another one for the Better Business Bureau. They want to do a cavity check,
Mhm.
man. I'm like,
A
yeah,
what?
they ask you so much. It's like it's
She good though.
Yeah.
She got W-2 and she got employment history and credit. I mean, she's golden.
Oh yeah.
I got to tell you, Cynthia, though, if I were you, I'd stay with the VA loans.
Me too, dude. I wouldn't even. Yeah, I would
Just
save
stay
on.
with the VA loan.
Not
Yeah.
100% though. I
Okay.
would definitely put
They
as much as I could
those
down.
people they protect the living hell out of you.
Yeah, I would stay
They
there.
they make sure that you're protected.
They're gonna have you the low appraisal shit.
They
Oh yeah, they're pretty good. Oh yeah.
They-
Oh
they
yeah.
beat you
Yeah.
up. They
Well,
beat you
that's what I wanted to know. If you guys would do, if you had a choice, if you already had.
We don't have that
conventional,
choice.
It would.
We don't have a choice of a VA loan because we never served. But I
I
gotta
would
tell
use
you,
it.
those
So
VA
VA loan instead of FHA.
from a buyer's
Oh, yeah.
perspective, rather
All
from
right.
a seller's perspective, they beat me up every single time. What
Yeah,
about
no
you?
doubt. Every time. Sometimes I have 2 appraisals. We gotta fight them. It's rough.
Even on new construction, I swear to God, they train them how to find things that don't
Mhm.
exist. Like,
Yeah.
and they write it
Let us
up
know.
really
Yeah.
nice.
Let us know how it goes, Cynthia. Thanks for calling.
I will. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful night.
You too.
right.
Washington
All right.
State. That's cool, man.
Let's take one more call, man, because it's getting late.
Wake up, man. It's 8:30.
No, it isn't. It's 9:15.
Oh.
We've been
Well, it's
on here
getting
for an
late.
hour and 15 minutes already.
All right, we can go. I don't. It's tomorrow's a holiday, so I mean, I have a day, but it's not too heavy.
Let's take-
Class, we got an IG question. How much does window capping cost from Kylie?
It depends on your area. For me, it would cost me around New York anywhere between $275 and $350 a window. But in Florida, the same capping, the same window size would probably cost me about 150 to 175.
That's all the way around, including
Yeah,
caulk.
including the caulk. Yeah,
That includes metal and caulk.
yeah.
That ain't bad. You could do a whole. He's right. Yeah, ain't bad.
Yeah, it all depends on the area, right? So if you're in a right to work state, like a state that doesn't support unions, it's going to be cheaper than a state that does support unions. Here in the East Coast, we're not in a right to work state.
HC, I've got a Section 8 tenant was covering 100%, but now the tenant is responsible for $100. She's slacking. She's slacking on the $100 for constantly being late.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, if you don't mind, put up that question again.
Okay.
I would love to know where what state is that in, and what city?
HC, what state you in? HC, what state you in?
So Kris and I would probably handle this totally different.
I'm a nice guy. If I got $100 person on 1,100, first of all, $1,100 is still like stupid low. That's probably a 1-bedroom. I don't know. What would I do? HC, I got to think about that. Dan, you can go for it. I don't know. I got to think how many they late all the time. So
I evict them.
Well, we don't even know if you could evict them, Dan, because they may pay. If you take them to court. Don't say you evict them.
I'd rather not get paid and get you out.
Okay, for what? You getting $1,000?
It's not. If I got to chase $100 every month, my time is worth more than $1,000 even that I'm collecting from.
Yeah, but we don't know HC's finances, and it's only $100 difference in what he's getting.
Yeah, see, that's the wrong. See, I look at it like that's the wrong way to look at it, right? It's not $100; it's $1,200
for the year.
It's $1,200 plus the time that it's taken me to collect that $1,200. So, this is what I tell people. I learned this from a woman You know what? I won't. This
Give it
one
to us.
particular tenant, she schooled me.
Is this somebody recently or a while ago?
This was years ago. She schooled me, and I was under her schoolship for about 5 years before I figured out the angle.
You were under her tutelage.
She schooled this tenant beat me up. Every year she beat me up a little less, right? But she schooled me. Um, and I remember one year I gave her $300 rent increase.
Oh, it's no mortgage on the property. It's been there for 3 years. HC says.
Yeah. What state is it in, if you don't
What
mind me
state you're in? HC.
And how and how long would it take to evict in that state? So that's if you don't mind answering those questions. So I remember I raised it like $300, and she said, "How do you justify you raising me $300 with attitude?" So I was like, you know what? I normally wouldn't answer this question, but considering the fact that you've been there for this is going to be your 6th year, I said, let me explain it, because she worked for the city of New York. I says, if you don't go to work, you get paid. If you choose to go to work and not work, you still get paid. I don't have those privileges. So you consumed a lot of time. And then I started reading the litany of times the time that I had to spend with her over frivolous issues with the neighbors or the person across the street. It was just shit that had nothing to do with my property. Right. So I was like, in all these hours, I wasn't productive making on other avenues where I could make money. So in my case, since I don't work for the city of New York, since I don't work for the city of New York, where I get paid whether I'm productive or not, unlike yourself, somebody's got to pay for the time that I wasn't making money because I was taking care of your frivolous issues. So now you got to pay. But you don't have to stay. You could always move. Well, do you know she paid me the $300 more? But you know what the crazy part was?
What?
Any issue with her after that were legitimate issues.
Hmm.
They were legitimate issues that I should address. Right?
That's cool.
So she schooled me. Right? And that's the case with this person who's not paying their $100. Every time a landlord is chasing $100, their portion of the rent, because Section 8's the state of Florida, eviction quick. Get them.
I don't think you're saying the right thing. When you say eviction, you would take them to court because you don't necessarily want them to leave. You want them to get in shape.
No. At the end of that lease, I'm doing a holdover where I'm saying, listen, I don't want them as a tenant. I'm not even taking them to court because for the money they owe me. I don't want them.
You don't even want them.
I don't want them.
I thought you were saying you're going to evict them because
I would have my attorney send them a letter at the end.
We're not renewing your lease.
It could be 5 months out. At the end of your lease, we're not renewing it.
Okay, so he's not. Let's rephrase this, because then we're not renewing the lease. HC. That's
done. Now she ain't gonna pay you. Once she gets that, she's not paying you.
She ain't paying now.
She's not gonna pay it at all. Now you take them to court with you put the 5-day notice on their door, and then you serve them the week after.
Get rid of him, HC. I'm not saying not to get rid of him, but I'm just saying that Dan Borrero. So Deborah says her shower neck is spraying, but her hair spraying behind the wall. Dan,
gotta open the wall. There's nothing to talk about that.
LLC to accept.
You better do that quick, Deborah. You don't want that stuff going down. Caller, you're on the line with Dan Borrero and Kris Haskins. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
This is Calvin Camden Jr. calling from Philadelphia, PA. Just wanted to tap in and say, man, what you guys are doing is just awesome and great. I just want to give you guys your flowers because everybody needs this great information. And it is no fluff. It's real good stuff. Kris would experience, Dan would experience. This is just awesome. So I just wanted to call and give you guys your flowers.
Oh, man. Thank you so much.
Wow. Where's our wives, man? Calvin, thanks, dog.
Thank you, Calvin.
Hey, I appreciate y'all, man. Keep doing what y'all doing. I appreciate y'all.
Okay, brother. All right. You know, I need this. I tell you, man, I walk around my house. I'm going to just be honest. I walk around my house. I'm like, man, am I really, the Roundup family really makes me feel better, dog. I'm just going to be completely honest. Because my wife is like, she's like, I got to bring you down. I got to make sure you don't. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm just trying. You know, it's nothing personal, man. I know she don't. She wanna. She's my anchor.
Yeah, they keep us humble.
Keep me grounded. I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm a pretty grounded guy though. I
us
don't.
humble.
Dan, it's a bunch of questions here, man. Wake your butt up. What you got to do
Where's the
tomorrow?
questions? I looked at IG. I thought we answered them all. What other
No, I
questions?
got a whole bunch here. Mark, my wife and I are up to 3 rental properties. Who asked that? Who just called Calvin? Thanks, dog. That really made my night. I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Calvin.
3 rental properties. Good. Let's clap it up for Mark real quick. Mark, I got some sound effects here. Sound effects. Mark. Oh, darn! I missed a call. Caller, sorry about that. Give us back in. We're gonna bring you back.
Yeah,
in.
please call us back in, caller. We paid cash for the last one. However, I got into a lot of credit
card debt,
which dropped my credit score. Should I use hard money lender?
What's going?
Well, my concern is why you got into the credit card debt, right? And if you paid cash for the last one, and the credit card debt is for like monies that you used for renovations, that's understandable. I would take a cash refi on the one that you got all cash out on. Get rid of the credit card debt. That credit card debt is going to beat you up.
Yeah, I try to
credit
keep
card debt
as little as possible.
Beat you up.
You pay yours off, Dan?
I don't. Listen,
you get
Chris,
the points.
Yeah, you and I. I mean, I remember last month my credit cards between both cards were like at almost 50 grand. But I'm not spending what I don't already have.
You just getting the points.
Yeah. So, and by the way, people, of that 50,000, only about 5,000 was for personal expenditures. 45,000 was from the business.
Yeah, Matt, I'm still dealing with. We got a new offer on that one. We restaged it, and it'll be sold in a few weeks. Derek says there's a problem with FHA. Y'all get your calls in real quick. I'm trying to keep Dan awake. Clint says, I'm in the same situation as HC. I sent an eviction warning. All of a sudden, she started making the payments on time. She was late for 2 months. I will not be renewing the lease when it ends in March. That's what Dan said, too.
You know what? It depends. So if she's been paying on time and it's 6 months on time, I'd renew it with an increase because she obviously got the message.
That's cool. Right? She changed.
And assuming everything else is okay with her. Something you got to train. You
got to train them.
You got to train. If you don't train them, they're going to train you. That's for sure.
You damn right they're going to train you. Dan and I have been.
Jackson.
You heard Dan who was under tutelage for quite some time. Caller, you're on the line with Dan Borrero and Kris Haskins. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Kris. This is Deborah Jackson from Willingboro, New Jersey.
Hey, Deborah, what's up? You got that shower leaking, man. You in trouble.
Yeah. I'm trying to get that taken care of as soon as possible. But what did happen is I called in a claims adjuster just in case I have to go through insurance. And he gave me some really good advice. He told me that the insurance companies will always try to not pay or give you the least amount possible. So he was just giving me some tips. And he took my insurance policy. He went over everything with me that I have step by step. And he told me I have a pretty good policy.
That's a Dan Borrero move.
He said, let the guy come, assess the damage, and we'll decide where we're going to go from there.
So, Deborah, one, you don't wait for the insurance company to come and assess the damage because the damage is going to get worse. And under your policy, as well as a landlord, it's your responsibility to try to mitigate the problem. They're going
to say you didn't.
They're going to say you didn't because you waited for them. That's number one. So you need to take pictures of everything before, after, and during. That's number one. Now. Number two.
Yeah, I did. I took pictures.
Okay, and you need to get that repaired. You don't wait for the insurance company. And the other thing I would tell you to do is, and you've been in my mentorship class, so you know this already. I always advise you to get a public adjuster because they're gonna get a whole lot
She
more
already
money from
did.
the insurance company than no. Did you call
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's what I said. I got an adjuster.
Okay, then you're good.
But I'm definitely not waiting. I'm not waiting to get it repaired. I have a plumber coming out tomorrow
Okay,
to look at that. His schedule was full today, but he's coming out tomorrow to take a look at that.
sounds good then. Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah, I do that. Go get that one.
Now, listen, both of you guys are great. I appreciate all the information that I get from both of you. Kris, I decided to do this subject too. So I got to get with you so I could take a class and get that information.
No
Okay?
doubt. Yeah. We can
The
get
other
this.
thing is, your wives are there to keep you guys humble. Because if you keep going on getting the compliments and stuff that you're getting, you're going to get the big head. So your wives are there to keep you humble.
They do a good job at it.
God bless.
Thank
God
you.
bless
Thank
y'all.
you,
God
Deborah.
bless you.
All right.
All right. Have a good one.
They do a damn good job of that shit.
A real good
You
job.
keep a motherfucker humble as a bitch. I'm like,
Pick up your socks before you go to bed.
you keep a humble.
Yeah.
That's a good point there.
You know, one glass of wine is enough. Like, you know, like give me a break.
My thing in my house is always, here's her saying, what about me? What about Well, what about me? I'm like,
What about you? And of course, we'll say that when our wives ain't around.
yeah, I get knocked in the head.
Hard as the rest say, so getting them out won't be a problem. No,
You good with that.
It all depends on which county you're in, but the longest it's taken
You
me to get
good.
the tenant was like 3 months.
I wouldn't worry about that at all. Florida, you good, kid.
Good.
All right. Well, I guess we done then, Dan. Oh, shoot, I ain't put the phone number. Are we done?
I'm good. And by the way, I stayed awake the whole night.
You did. I see you. Y'all see Dan. Give a thumbs up for Dan. He didn't fall asleep on me tonight.
All right, guys. So we do this
stuff.
every single Sunday night. We're on by 8 o'clock. Join
If
us.
you don't want to miss it, look, there's a link in the video description. You can get on an email address. That way, we'll send your email when we go live.
There you go, guys.
And join Dan's mentorship every Wednesday. There's his name right there. Is it right? You can go to the website.
Just go to DanielBorrerojr.com.
Somebody says if a tenant you evicted owes you more than $6,000 in the past rent, you ain't getting that. Would it be worth to take them to small claim court? You only getting $5,000.
It all depends. Where are
you going to get more than that?
Well,
if it's damages.
Okay. Well, it all depends, right? If the tenant's on Social Security, welfare, just pension, you could sue them. It'll be on their credit report.
They don't care.
It's going to affect their credit score, but you ain't collecting.
They don't care.
You can't get water from a rock, right? Now, if the tenant's a working person, hell yeah, all day long, because you could at least get their wages garnished.
Yeah.
Right. So, it all depends on the person. It all depends on the situation. It all depends if I'm mad at them or if they were really terrible people. Because sometimes people just fall on bad times.
You gotta let them go, man.
Sometimes I'll just let them go because they were decent. I've never had a bad tenant turn good, but I've had a lot of tenants turn bad.
You got divorced. You got somebody died. You got them their job, moved them to.
Sometimes they got sick. I mean, sometimes it's just life situation.
Man.
So those people, and if they were cool with me and communicating and didn't listen, I'm trying to get out. I'm moving to my father's house. I'm like, all right, you owe me $4,000. You know what? It was beyond your control. But if you're that person who's cursing and screaming at me, ducking me, making me go to court, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to make your life miserable.
I got no time for that, Dan. I just got. You know what's weird, Dan? Like, if you ain't paying, just move. I mean, why are you gonna make me evict you? Right? I never understood that.
I put up a post about. It was a 30-second clip. I was speaking at an event, and somebody had asked me about negotiating rents. I said I never negotiate. I never negotiate my rents. I never negotiate my lease terms, ever, because once you start negotiating, it never ends. Especially with a new tenant, because you set the precedence. It's not the tenant's fault; it's your fault, right? So I tell them, you want to negotiate my lease terms? Go rent someplace else. So I was
Please
getting,
go.
man, I was getting a lot of derogatory remarks. Um, and one person was like, "Well, this guy's a slum landlord." Well, what's your definition of a slum landlord? Because I because I don't negotiate my lease terms. My properties are immaculate.
Yeah,
You've
they
seen my
are.
properties. So, then he turns around and says, "Well, landlords like you, I'll just tie you up in court and not pay you and get the repairs done." I'm like, assuming you need repairs, but my apartments are in great shape, so all that's done prior to you moving in. But my point is, if so, my response was to him was, if you need a lot of repairs, why do you want to stay in an apartment
Just go.
that's not being repaired?
Just go.
Like, why? So you rather go to court and that be on your credit report and your housing report?
Hmm.
I had
Yeah.
an applicant just applied. This was about a month ago for one of my New Jersey properties, and the person been living in the same house for 25 years, and they're moving because
They been in your place or
they
just
were
the applicant?
the applicant where they currently live has been there for 25 years.
Oh, I love them. I
So now
love.
I'm like, but if you've been there for 25 years, why you been in court the last 2 years? Because I could see the housing report.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He says, well, it's not my fault. I says,
Why not?
well, just I already knew in my mind I wasn't taking them, but
Why? Hold up, Dan. Somebody been somewhere 25 years, dude. You're not gonna give them a shot to explain what's going on? Somebody could have had
why
kidney
do you want to be in
dialysis.
court for 2 years? Why would anybody, tenant or landlord, want to be in court for 2 years? Don't you have it? Don't life is too short to be fighting like that.
So
In my
you're
mind,
saying they've been fighting something for 2 years?
right? So
Okay.
because on the documents it doesn't tell us what the fight is about.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And his argument was, um, well, it was new owners that came in and they raised the rent ridiculously. And I
He
said,
said they did give him a hard time. So
well, what was the rate? What would you consider to have been ridiculous? Well, they raised it to 2,200, and
from
I was only paying 1,300. I
oh,
said, so now I know the area. I said, well, I
it was
looked up.
already low.
The previous owner had not raised their rents.
He already was low.
So I said, so let me see if I got this right. You're paying $1,000 below market. So the new owners want you to pay market. That's what he goes. That's why I took them to court. He took them to court because they
Oh
raised his
yeah,
rent to
I
market.
wouldn't do that. I wouldn't mess with them.
So now the realtor's like, well, what do I tell him? I said, what do you mean? What do you tell him? Because I said, I'm not renting to this guy. She says, what do I tell him? I said, not, that's a you problem. That's a you problem.
From the realtor.
Well, Dan, he could sue you and sue me. I said, so let me see. You want me to rent him the apartment so he doesn't sue me?
And then when he gets in,
What's going to happen when he's in?
I don't think new landlords understand when they bend the rules to let somebody in. They don't understand that they're going to be bending the rules for their entire relationship. How you start is how you're going to finish. So Dan chose to not start.
My decision was, if he chooses to sue me, at least he's not in my building.
Yeah.
Because he's going to sue me anyway.
He can get you in or out.
He's going to sue me at one time or
I'd
another.
rather him be out than in.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't rent to someone because you're fearful of not renting to them.
That's a hell of a way to go, Dan.
And don't rent to somebody, even if your gut tells you no, don't rent to them.
Don't rent to them, y'all. Look, there's an email address in the video description. Join our email address. We'd love to stay in touch with you. Join our channel. Help support to keep Dan and I doing this. And join Dan's weekly free mentorship at Daniel.
I just wanted to make one more statement about reference. Yeah. He couldn't afford it anyway. I was surprised he was trying to rent my apartment because he didn't have the income. So the primary reason of declining him was he didn't have the income to afford that apartment.
Matt said he's gonna move in and pay 1 month and be covered by the tenant-in-law in school. All right, y'all, we gone. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 5:30 for the private money training. Thanks, Dan. All right, peace.